Once upon a time, when the last leaf has fallen off the tree, when the color of gold turned into a lifeless, bitter grey, you'll find the gluttonous cold, like a hound from the deepest lair of hell, bare its fangs into the throat of a child, turning it together with its heartwarming smile into a mere vessel, a corpse with a soul that is no longer, putting the world into one chilling nightmare. In other words, it's winter. A time leaving most of us falling prone to fatigue and exhaustion, leaving a great deal of discomfort for especially those that find pleasure in work and exercise. The world unfortunately doesn't stop. In fact, for a majority of people, considering the holidays are coming along, it's speeding up, while they find themselves bound to heavy weights on each leg, plastered to the floor. I struggle quite a lot in times like these because I can't perform as well as I'd like to, or it gets significantly harder to fulfill tasks in a certain period of time. I have a clear schedule every week with work that I want to finish, and sometimes when I have to wake up at around 6:30 for my part-time job, I can almost forecast how the whole day is going to be one big, ginormous drag. Nonetheless, there are a few things that I consider somewhat of a helping hand that guide me through these times and allow me to keep up the pace without anything falling apart. Time is of considerable value here. That non-stop ticking sound can leave us vulnerable, obsessed over every second that is lost due to quote-unquote laziness, and consistently harm our own well-being through that. Find yourself in a constant zone of pressure and guilt. We know we could do much more, but our body simply betrays us. I find myself comparing myself to my past self, during summer days, working many hours, being productive, to now barely being able to draw 2 hours in the afternoon. My mind gets foggy and ideas are hard to grasp. I always write my scripts for videos in one sitting, but for this one it took a little longer than that. Point is, just like many of us, whether you watching or somebody who's struggling in the creative field as well right now, somebody who's working a regular 9 to 5, or simply household chores leave you laying in bed for hours upon hours. I too don't feel like I have the capacity to be as productive as I used to. And that's okay. So the first thing I do is to shift my focus from I have to get this done by this time, which can be alright if you have the energy for it, to simply progress. I use the little energy I have and take it slow, and by that I don't mean procrastinating or distracting myself. Rather than having my thought process revolve around I have to finish everything in 4 hours, it's more like I have these 4 hours and I'll try to get as much work done as I possibly can. Especially when it comes to coming up with ideas, it can get extremely stressful and frustrating when I'm sitting there left empty while it's already dark outside. But eventually it always works out, and despite taking longer, I still progressed. It could have gone 2 other ways as well. On one side, stressing to the point I burn out and become stagnant, or just give up, think I'm worthless, not up to the task, and spend the majority of my time on my phone feeling guilty. To be flexible, give yourself room to breathe, and understand you're not a machine is crucial to stay consistent even during these low energy periods. And to help myself a little further, I try to preserve and gather as much energy as I possibly can. Now, I think it's safe to say that a majority of people have talked about the importance of exercise and nutrition to the point it turned them into platitudes, so I'll just skip that. It's not just exercise per se that I recommend, but besides sleeping, another important aspect is to simply move. Starting with sleep, on very difficult days, I tend to take a 15-minute nap always before 2 p.m. Now, speaking from personal experience, knowing that a lot of people feel worse after, first of all, I try to not obsess about falling asleep. Instead, I see those 15 minutes as a time window where I solely rest. Shut off. Second would be that feeling after waking up. Again, speaking from personal experience, no research done here. I think it's totally normal to feel a little drowsy after waking up, which is why I tend to take it slow. I wake up, lay for a good 5 minutes rather than jumping straight out of bed and getting back to work or whatever it is that I gotta do. I make some tea, and after a good 15 to 20 minutes, it feels like heaven. I'm calm and collected, less irritable, and even regain a small dose of energy. And this has worked pretty much 99% of the times for me. Now, as to what goes for moving, what I want to say with this is get out of your house. No matter how much it is romanticized to stay isolated in your room during these cold days. In other words, live a little life. I had vacation not too long ago, and I'm not the most outgoing person, you know? So I find myself basically locked inside my room for a majority of the time, to the point where I start to feel different, especially when I'm away from people. This happens every single time. Once I go back to work again, I move a lot, I'm surrounded by people, I feel better. It's as if I'm taken and adjusted back on track. And I myself put so much emphasis on this because I know how important it is to go out and be around people. As an introvert, I know that especially large crowds are more draining than rewarding, but being alone in your room is always far worse. Something I feel like a lot of people might experience is that they get used to feeling alone. You know, we humans are very adaptable creatures, and mistaken that for not needing anybody anymore, especially during winters, since it's such a gray, gloomy, stay in your warm, cozy room kind of time. But once you experience company again, whether it's in the real world or on Discord, after a good portion of time, it's invigorating. Which, a little off topic, is why I think it's extremely important to keep your relationships to people you care about strong and not neglect them, especially during these kind of times. Obviously, as with everything, the emphasis is on balance, but not just speaking from experience, but also from friends, you know. Going out, moving, can make a difference. For some of the shots I made for this video, I woke up, saw an opportunity, and despite it having -1 degrees outside, I rushed out and took them. Now coming home freezing to death, but happy that I did it. It can help you feel and stay fresh, both physically and mentally. Last but not least, a mix of two things: reward and routine. Whether you already have a routine or are in the making of one, they're powerful. If you think about routine, habits, they make up a majority of our life. If you like reading, for example, and it's a habit, no matter how exhausted you feel, sooner or later you'll find that book back in your hands. You might not be reading as much, but you're still reading. And so to kind of call back to what I talked about at the beginning, everything is bound together. To consistently build and practice your routine, you need energy. You gather energy and preserve it because you want to practice your routine. To avoid burnout that could quite literally destroy your routine, you take it slow. You don't let time stress you out. And to end the cycle at the end of the day, you should properly relax. And with that, I don't mean laying in your bed and hanging around your goddamn phone. Playing video games with your friends, watching a movie, a series, reading a little. Hell, doing nothing is always better than sitting there and scrolling the net for 2 hours. The way you rest is just as important as you go about your day. Knowing there are new episodes of Arcane waiting for you in the evening, ready to crush your heart, is not grand, but still a small push to give you something to look forward to. Listening to professional athletes talk, Olympic champions, people that literally breathe their sport, you will always hear them talk about how important it is to rest, not just physically, but mentally as well.
Hey, Jimmy! Jimmy, where are you at? Hold on, Jimmy, is that you? Oh. Big man. What's up?
I am the hunter. You are my prey.
Jimmy! Jimmy, where are you? Oh, hold on. Brother, I just saw Big Boo... What in the yabba labba ding dong have you done?
What do you mean?
Jimmy, you Where's our stuff, man? You mean the distraction? Why didn't you just say that? Well, I've done us both a favor.
Eliminated it.
You what?
Wait, why are you getting so worked up?
How should I put this? What the f*** are you two flatheads doing?
A malevolent force. What do you say?
Care to elaborate?
I believe you are aware of my issue.
Which one? You've got quite a collection.
Work of the devil. Some may call it a whisper. A voice with unrelenting power.
He's been looking at squatting racks again.
How dare you, you insolent brat? Has your mind fallen ill? Have you forgotten that one shall not unveil the secrets of another man painted on every wall for every eye to see? He struggles in silence.
Oh, what the f? You're crazy.
At least I don't turn blind to my problems and face them like a real man would.
It's distracting, okay? I wanted to be productive again. Just like you, I watched a video of some guy. He told me, oh, video games, social media are stripping me away from my success. So I had to do it. There was no other way. Alright, I've heard enough. I think I see where this is going. I take somebody also told you that posing like a duck will get rid of
I was
all your
instilling fear and evil. I was being the
Big
hunter.
man, the only thing you're hunting are hemorrhoids. You maybe tried thinking for yourself for once, instead of eating everything that's being put on your plate. These people, they know what they're talking about. They've been in the same situation, but unlike us, they've conquered their struggles. And now all they want to do is help. Now, how do you not get that? Besides, you make videos yourself talking about it. How does that make you any different?
I must agree.
Jimmy, there's a difference between offering advice or help and shoving a down somebody's throat. You ever heard of the saying, take it with a grain of salt? Well, I could be wrong too, but at least I think about what I'm saying before putting it out. And quite frankly, always telling people to take it with a grain of salt. But no, Buzz, Jimmy, the people you are listening to are yapping for the sake of yapping. They don't care about you. They only care for what you can do for them. Instead of sitting here obsessing about willpowering through your squat rack addiction, making it your entire personality, you try to maybe fill in the gaps that this is taking in. Of course, the squat rack is going to whisper in your ear if all you do is sit around for 5 hours meditating what a piece of you are. You try to maybe go out, talk to people. Habits, replace them. And unless you're pumping heroin, you'll be alright.
But will you not?
Shut the up. The same goes for you. Perhaps your distractions have a deeper meaning. You threw all this out to be what? Productive? But what the are you doing? Well, I'm reading more. Well, that's great. You couldn't have done that with the monitor on your desk. Just switch locations. Well, it's not that easy. Doing these extreme measurements, going from either terrible to terrible. Why don't you give yourself the opportunity to understand why certain things are the way they are, rather than somebody else telling you? Let's look at an example. Let's say you party once a month. You avoid all the alcohol, and voila, all of a sudden it's not that bad anymore. Let's say you had a bad day. If you hang around on social media for longer than usual, that doesn't mean you're broken or useless or inefficient or... Okay, calm down.
You've made yourself quite clear.
No, because you two are so gullible. I could fill your head with right now and you believe everything I say. Simply because you can't think for yourself. Not everything that works out for others will work out for you. Think, adjust, and you'll be fine. Now, for the love of God, please stop contacting Martians, bring back my equipment, and do something with your life. God damn it.
Just a reminder to listen to your inner voice and maybe have a thought process or two before deciding to identify yourself broken, not enough, not normal, etc. Take everything with a grain of salt, listen to advice, but do not necessarily take it to heart. For certain people, a certain amount of pressure could actually be beneficial. Some might literally break. If some guy or girl steps up and pretends like they have the universal solution, the chance that this universal solution is actually their business model and exploit of certain individuals is very high. I just try to give out thought out advice, things that I discovered and work fairly well for me, knowing they don't do any harm, and simply try to package them in a universal way. We all need sleep. Most of us are stressed out to the core, and it's a well-known fact that we humans are social creatures, and going out is most definitely beneficial. But sometimes we just don't know how to tackle certain things, which is exactly where advice can be very helpful. But again, be flexible, and for the love of God, don't be too obsessive. If you're interested in my art, you should most definitely check out my website. With that being said, truly thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Wow.
I was being the hunter!
I'm so stupid.